Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, inshallah, we will cover the first lab in database concepts and design. So first of all, I'll upload, or you will find it after this recording. The lab instructions already will be uploaded for you on Blackboard, so you can return to it. I will go through it quickly with you, inshallah. What else? And I will share with you as well the YouTube video, which is I already put here. I'll share with you the link so you can download MySQL in your device. It's important to download and to test out what I'm going to experiment now in order to get the idea and to also be in the environment, and you test it by testing it by yourself. You will find a lot of errors that will be occurring to you, and then after that you will fix them, and it's going to be the way you will learn how to build a database. Today it's going to be quite simple. So after you move, or after you follow whatever in this video of downloading the MySQL, and after you've done that correctly, we will go through the instruction. So now stop the video, go to download, and then carry on with us. Okay, that's regarding downloading. You will go to MySQL and you download with the guy. What else? So there's some couple of questions that you might see here, descriptive. What is MySQL, which we will work with. Why MySQL? You will figure out why MySQL, because while we are dealing with it, you will know why it's MySQL. Exploring MySQL Workbench, which what we will work with in a minute. So what we will do now, we will connect to the database. We will also create a local server with the port 3307. That will be by default. Do not change it. Just make everything as a default, so just we do not face any errors. Run SQL queries or scripts. We will do that as well, but it will be run automatically. I'll show you what's going on behind the scene. Edit data, manage database objects. We will do also data modeling. So we will create and manage models. We will then forward and reverse engineer schemes, compare these synchronous schemes and make reports that might be in different lecture or different lab. Admin server, so we will set the accounts, we will do the server configuration and also change the status variable and also monitor logs. So if you have already done and installed MySQL correctly, you will have this interface shown to you. That's first category of it. And then we have the second category where we can build the models. So, and here we do have the local server. I told you about we will have a local server to just imitate a remote server. So it will be easier for us to learn in a local server than a remote server to avoid any problem. So the local server, it's 127.0.0.1. That's the IP, or that's the the link for the local server. And then the port is 3306. I believe I said 07, so it's 06. So that is the local server. It's already built. If you downloaded everything correctly, you will find that already in front of you. We will leave that now. We will go to build a model. Why we will go to build a model? So we don't want to interact with the server, not yet. We just want to build the model, which will be the database as a whole. We will define. You remember I told you when we were talking in the lecture, defining, constructing, and then before sharing, there is defining, constructing, and then the third one, let me just grab the slide. If I'm not mistaken, it was, just give me a second. So it's good to go through the slide as well to recap. So we were talking about manipulating, so defining, constructing, manipulating, and then lastly sharing. So what we will do now, it's defining, basically. I'll go to the data module here. I'll create a new one by clicking there. So again, there is a plus here. You can click it, or you go from file and new model. What I'm following right now, if you go to the lab instructions here, and the number 5, you can find the link to download, or you can follow the video. And what I will do, I'm going to jump to the recommended steps to create a database. So first of all, we will build a structure using a model. Okay, so I'll build the database, and then I'll forward the database that I built to the server. So now after that, it will be in the server, then I can construct and manipulate and share. Clear? So here I have the link, which it's it's just a tutorial from MySQL. We will follow the tutorial. So after you click the link, you will go to create a model. I'll follow this tutorial with you here to just create a sample model. You also have the instructions, so you can build the same model by yourself. So let's do it together. I'll just go to the sign, plus sign here, and then I'll have the same interface that is shown here. So here's the database, or it's called schemes or scheme. So I'll just double click and I'll change the name. Here it asks you to change the name to be DVD collections. So I'll change the name of the database from MyDP to just database or DVD _ collection. So it's now changed. Now I want to create tables. In order to create tables, here is just the sign plus with add table. Just double click it. Now you can add columns to that table that you've just created. So he asks me to create 3 tables or 3 columns in that table. The first column, it's called movie ID. Just copy and paste the name, and then it must be primary key. We will talk about primary key later, but now just remember that primary key, it's to keep the records unique. So every row, it will be unique. Every sample, it will be different than the other. So we can configure it out. Like your ID in university, it's unique, so it's the same. I'll just put a check to primary key and also not null to eliminate or to avoid that record to be null. It must has a value, or it must have a value. And then we will as well put auto increment. So every time you add a new sample, a new record, a new row, it will just increase 1 by 1 every time. I'll add also another 2 columns, movie title and release date. So just copy the name, double click under the ID movie. Here, paste. It must be varchar, which is the type of it. It's like a string with 45 characters. And it must also be not null. Just check the not null. I'm sorry if you cannot see clearly the MySQL, what I'm doing currently, but maybe you can zoom in while you're using Zoom. Otherwise, you just can follow the instructions. I'm here just doing it quickly with you to get the ideas. Release date, I'll do the same, release date, and it also here it's date, so just change it to be date. And none, it shouldn't be anything, it can be null, that's okay. Here the movie ID, I believe I copied it, now it's correct. See, now the table is ready, enter. Now the table is ready with all the information that we added, the columns. Now we are still defining, so we put the constraints, we can define what type of columns they are, what the data type of the columns as well. After we finished with that, it asks us to create EER diagram. If you just double click here in the model overview, you can create EER diagram quite easy as that. So here I can go to the DVD on the left side. You can see tables. I can just drag and drop. I'm going to have the movie ID table in front of me. And why we need that? We will need that to do the relations, to have an overview. And also we will learn more about EER diagram in coming lectures. Just here, it's going to be quite showing you different parts of MySQL Workbench. What else in the instructions that we have here? Here it says to save your model, to keep, to save it in order to use it later, maybe in the future, to just Control S, and you give it a name. Here I'm going to call it Home Media, and just save. I'll replace the old one. Now it's saved. So whenever I want to change on the model, I can go quickly in there and change everything that I want. Still, I haven't published or uploaded this model to the server. Still, I'm just defining. After that, now I'm going to upload, or I'm going to push that model to the server. It's quite easy. You just go to database here from the toolbar. You click forward engineer, and what that means, here's going to be listed the servers that you've got. We've got only one server. It's my first connection. If you go to the home here, let me just close this a bit. If you go to the home page here, you go to the first icon, you will see your server, a local server. It's called My First Connection. So when you push the database to that server by clicking on database, then forward engineer, you will find the stored connection, which is first connection. And here's the host name, which is the local, and the port. And I have also the root, and you will also have your root as well. You just click next. Do not change anything. Keep everything as it is. Next, you will put the password that you already created when you installed MySQL. So while you're installing, you will put the password. Do not forget it. Keep it in somewhere safe. So in order to just put it every time, or you can save the password in order to just make it always saved there. We will click, or we will take the first item, export MySQL table objects. Now I'm exporting, and see what we are doing. Actually, we are using the GUI, the graphical user interface here, in order to make these codes. Inshallah, during this course, we will teach you how to do these line by line, how to create table, how to add values, how to make primary keys and relationships by codes. But here it will do it for us. You can also, in case you are already how to write code, or you want to add something, you can start writing whatever you want to write. So whatever we did by forward engineer, we just transfer it to be a code based, and now we will send it to the database, or to the server, sorry. So next, now it's already sent to the server. Let's go to the server quickly from home page, or from home icon up there. You can close these, by the way, if these are for the models. I close them. I will go to the server, double click, and then just let me close all of these. To start clear. Okay. You can see DVD collection database is there, is already uploaded in the database. Just expand, you will see the tables. And if you expand, you will see two tables, because I already did some manipulation before. So this is our table, I believe, or that one. Let's check movies. Yeah, here it is, our table. And there is another one that already we created. So you can see here's the table. Here's the 3 columns that we created. In case you want to add, you will skip the movie ID, because it will be incremented automatically. نحن عرفناها انها تكون كل مره تتعرف بشكل مباشر. You will skip movie ID, movie ID, and you will go to the movie title. You will give it a name. Let's say MySQL. Release date, I'll give it a date, 2020 12/12. Enter. And I can add another one. Let's say web, such names for movies, 12/12. And then after I done, there is here an apply button. You will just click it. It will give you the codes to apply. If you agree, if you don't want to add more, you just click apply. They will be added. Otherwise, there will be error, and it will show you the error. So now we are constructing our tables, or our database. Now we are adding to the database. Okay. So that what we just did here, following the instructions from MySQL website. Now our assignment, or our assessment in this lab, it's to create these tables, which are listed below here. So we have to create a database that's called company, and we have to create an employee table with these columns. Also, we have to create a department table, project table, and lastly works on table. Okay, and we have to fill each table with these data. So that's the employee, that's department, that's project, and lastly works on. You have to fill the tables with this data. So how can we do this? I'll show you how to create the tables, and then I will leave you to add the columns, or sorry, add the rows by yourself. I'll add with you one or two just to show you how to do it. But what we did with the movie database, we will do it again with company. Okay, but this time we have 4 tables rather than 1, and we have more columns than the previous one. So again, let's close the server. Let's go again to the second icon in here, and I'll create, because I've already done it before, so I'll create another module or another models. I'll call it company 2. So again, double click on the database, or scheme it's called here. So company underscore 2. Now it's created, just enter. And then double click on add table. I'll start with adding the first table with which is employee. So just employee. And then I have the first one, F name. It's a varchar, okay, because it's a string. So I'll give it, for example, 15 characters, and it's not a primary, and it could be null because it didn't specify for me. So I'll keep it, none of these properties will be checked. The other one, it's last name, and it's also varchar. Let's keep it 15 characters or 20. The third one, SSN. This is the primary key. Here is the uniqueness. It's social security number. So with the social security number, it must be unique. I'll keep it as a varchar and with 10 digits. Okay, and I will check the primary key and not null. I will not put it as auto increment because every one of us has its own social security number. So I'll keep it as it is. And then birth of date, that's going to be the type, or the data type, it's date, right? What else do we have? We have gender. That's going to be varchar with 5 characters, let's say. We have also salary, that's double or float. Double here. What else do we have? Sub ERSSN, supervisor, I believe. Yeah, employee supervisor SSN. So that's as well will be a varchar with 10 characters. I will leave the foreign key and I'll show you how we will build them. So the topic about foreign keys, primary key, the relationship between the tables, one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many, and etc. all will be discussed later. But now to just demonstrate how you can create them using models, I'll show you how in a bit. So I will leave the department number, which is the last one here, for later. Okay, so I created now a table. The first table is called employee. I can do the same, create a second table by double click add table. Another way to create table as well, to go to add diagram. Let's just try another thing, as we already tested this out twice. I need now to create an department table, right? The second table here. So I will try to do that by going to add diagram from the top there. Just go to company, table, and then I'll drag employee. So employee is there. If you can see my mouse, I'm hovering on one of the items. It's called place a new table, or you can click just T from your keyboard. Now your mouse, it's whenever you click in any place in that grid, it will create a new table for you. Let's test it out. So I'm just clicking it once, and then I'm just clicking anywhere. It will create a new table for me. You can just double click that table and you can add information. So I'll add department here, the second table name. It's D name, department name. It's not, just let me change the data type. It's not primary key. It can be null. Department number, D number. I'll keep it as integer this time. So and I'll make it primary key and not null because it's primary key. The location, for sure, it's going to be a varchar. What else? MG, that's foreign key. I'll keep it for later. MG, the last one, RSTAR, T date, which stands for manager work start date. That's going to be date. Okay. The only thing that I didn't add is the foreign key. I'll just highlight it to not forget it, as well this one, to return to them later. I'll add a new table. Again, I'll click on the simple anywhere in the grid, double click the table, change the name of the table to be project. Again, we will add the column that we need, P name. That's going to be varchar with 20 characters. Without primary key, it can be null. Again, we will just change that to be B number or project number, which is going to be integer, and that primary key. And lastly, P location. That's varchar and it can be null. Okay, that's foreign key. Again, I will leave it for later. I highlight it. And the last table, I'll show you how to create it. So you can see this is the employee table, which is this one on the left here. And I've got the department in the middle, project on the left. So if I zoom in a bit, just make things clearer. Okay, hopefully you can see it now. What this attribute or what this column, which is department number or number of department the employee works in, it's actually, so we have multiple departments, right? And we have employees. So every employee works in a department, and a department can hold multiple employees. So it's one-to-many relationships. More about this, we'll talk about it in the slide in the coming lectures, inshallah. But just to get the idea, I believe you already talk Access, Microsoft Access before, so you know a bit about relationships. So here it's one-to-many relationships. We have multiple departments and multiple employees. Every department has many employees and every employee is in one department. So we can just click the one-to-many relationship item, and I'll click on the department and then the employee. So you can see even the way it's drawn here, you can see multiple to many. And I believe it should be the opposite. I click the employee first and then the department, because we want the D and O be there. Yeah, just Control Z again, sorry. So I'll click first the employee and then the department. Now it's right. So you can see MySQL automatically added for us a new column. I'll change the name now of it to be D and O. And what that actually will be, you know, the department number. Let me change the name first. Double click on employee. I'll go to that column. Just change the name to be D and O. And now it's better. So it's integer. The purpose of it. So when I know that, for example, I have a department HR, and the HR department, let's say the name or the department number was 1. Basically, I can tell that the employee 1 in department 1, so that the employee is in department 1, which is HR. And whenever I want to return to the HR, I will go to the department 1 and check information about that department, where it's located, the number of it, the supervisor, when it started, the date, and etc. So that's the purpose of it. Now, that employee is a part of a department, and we can have multiple employees to be in one department. So it is many to one, from employee to department. If you go down in the MySQL, you will find a tab. It's called Foreign Keys here. I'm sure it's not going to be clear for you, but when you test it out with your device, you will see it clearly, Foreign Keys. You will click it, and then you will click the foreign key itself, when you click the foreign key, you just go to the right side. You will find two options for the foreign keys: on update and on delete. We'll talk about them maybe later when we cover that in lecture. But now, for just the sake of making them working, just transfer them both from no action to cascade. Okay. Again, if you double click employee table and you go to the columns, make sure that DNO, which is the department number, it's accepting not null. So it can be not null, because by default, it's going to be not null. We want it to accept null in case we don't have a department. It can accept that. So I just unclicked the not null from DNO. What I will do next, so I have department. It has a foreign key that's manager social security number. So in the department, we have the manager of the department. And the manager of the department, it's one of the employees, right? So we have another connection. We have one employee can be a manager of one department. And one department is led by one employee. And we can do that by clicking on the item, which is for one-to-one relationship. I'll click that. And then I'll click first on department or employee, doesn't matter, because both of them one-to-one. So now I'm having two relationships between these two tables. And also, if you double click the department, you will see a new column for the employee or for the manager, social security number. I will change that to be as it is in the PDF, MGRSSN. It's here highlighted in red, and enter. I'll make sure it's also accepts null in case the department still hasn't specified any or hasn't enrolled any manager yet. Again, we will not forget to change it from no action to cascade by going to foreign keys. Click on that, just change no action to foreign key. Go to the foreign key, change it from no action to cascade, and from no action to cascade. What else do we have? We have another kind of foreign key here, which stands for another relation. So whenever you find the foreign keys, you know that there is a relationships between two tables. We have a project. And the department number. So every project is related to a department number. Department number which project belongs to. So a department can have many projects, but every project has one department. So that's, again, one-to-many relationships. So many projects to one department. So let's do it. It's department, then I believe I'll click the item. It's the opposite. I keep forgetting that. So you first click the project and then you then click the department. So first project, then department. You now have it. You can see the simple. So it's many to one. Now this relationship, and there is also a column is added. Double click on project. We will do the same. We'll just rename the new column to be DNM, and we will make sure it accepts null. And we will go to the foreign key, and then we click the foreign key to change it from no action to cascade and no action to cascade. The last table that we have, it's actually the table created when we have a many-to-many relationships between two tables. In this case, we want to have an extra table that tells us who is employee working in which project. In this case, we can click on many-to-many item here from this toolbar, and I'll click on employee or project, doesn't matter because both of them many-to-many. So employee to the project, and by default, it will create for us a new table that, if I can get back a bit, so you can see the lines. Yeah, so that table is many-to-many to both these tables. So we have the project and we have the employee. And we can now rechange the names by just double click and going to columns. I'll change the name to be, sorry, ESSN, and then the second one P&O, which is project number. And also I will add another column, it's called hours in there. I'll keep it varchar. Okay, you can see now both of these two first columns, ESSN and P&O, both of them are primary key and foreign key at the same time. And we created this because we want to have a relationship between employee and the project. So we want to know which employee working in which project and how many hours they are working on that. So that this kind of relationship can be done by many-to-many. So here we tested out one-to-one, many-to-many, and one-to-many as well. Now we finished with defining the tables. We just save the model in case we want to return to it later, maybe in the future, or change anything. I'll call it company2, save. And I'll push it to the database. Everything that we did, you can see it here as well. The project, employee has a project, employees, everything is there. So how to push it to the database? Again, we will just click on database, forward engineer. I'll choose the My Connection, the next, do not change anything, just keep doing next and put the password. Just push the table. You will see all the codes that are listed for us here. Just do next and it will be added to the table now. Close, it's added. Now let's go to the home page, run the server, run the local server. We will find a new database added for us. It's called company_2. Under the table, you can see the department table, employee has a project. I'll go with you quickly. I'll add one department. So I'll call it HR, the name of the department. The number of department, I'll give it 5, for example. The location, Dammam. When the manager started to handle this department, I'll keep it empty because it's accepting null. And what the MGRSS, which is here, I'm highlighting it, it's the manager social security number. Still, I didn't add any employees, right? So that it should be an employee security or ID, okay? So because I didn't add any employee yet, if I just put any number now, it will not accept it, it will raise an error. So I'll just put apply and apply, okay? There is an issue here. It says at error 1, the statement. Okay, you can see here the logs, why it's an error. It says the manager, I believe it's not accepting null values. So I'll give it a date. We might forget, it seems we forgot to make it accepting null variable. So now apply, yeah, it's accepting. So I just filled the date of the manager when the manager started like handling this department. So till now, I didn't put any manager security or social security number. Why? Because still I haven't added any employees yet. If I put any number, let's try it out. Let me just put 555 as it is the social security number for an employee, and then apply. It will raise an error because there is no employee with a social security 555, because this is the foreign key that we did and it's connected to the employee table. Let's go to the employee table. I'll add a real employee now. Let's put HA for the last name. SSN, I'll put now, let's say 777. This is the social security number for the employee or the supervisor, which will be now for that department. Birth of date, let's put anything. Gender M, salary 1,000. The supervisor, just put zeros. And the department number. So remember the HR department we just created. We give it 5. Let's assume that employee works with them. If I put 5, it will accept it. If I put anything rather than 5, it won't accept it. Why? Because we do not have any department except 5. ما راح يرضى لأنه الديبارتمنت الوحيد اللي موجود عندي في الداتابيس للديبارتمنت اللي هي 5. لو أضفت أي رقم غير ال5 راح يرفض. الا اذا كان عندي ديبارتمنت مختلفه فانا اختار الديبارتمنت اللي موجود فيه او اتركه فاضي لان نحن قلنا له ممكن it accepts null. So it either I put 5 now because I have HR department with department ID 5, or let it be empty. But now I'm assuming this employee is working under HR department, so I'll put 5 and then apply, and it will be applied correctly. So it's added. If I go now to the department, and again, if I put 555 as a manager of that department, I don't have any employee with a social security number 555, but I do have now one employee with a social security 777. So now I'll assume that, okay, that employee or that the supervisor for this department is that guy with the 777 as a social security number. And then when I click apply, it should work. Yeah, it's working. Why? Because we do have a relationship and we have to respect that relationship between them. Otherwise, it will keep putting errors for us. This is basically about how to add. You will carry on by adding employees and department and project. And lastly, you will work with the works on. Because with the works on, it will not accept any employee that has ESSN 2 or 3 or 4 or 7 if they are not at least in the employee table. They must be already registered in the employee table, and then you can list them here. As well for the project number, you have already, you already must created project numbers 5, 1, 2, 2, 4 in the project number. Otherwise, it will reject it because it will tell you there is no project is called 5, or there's no project with the number 2 or 4. Okay, so you will keep the works on for the last thing you do. You just fill these, and whenever you finished, you can register it, for example, a department. After you already have all the department, you can put the department number to the employees, and then you can put the employees' social security as a supervisor to the department, and the same for the project. Okay, hopefully it's clear. And if it does not, go again to the video, try to understand, try to recap. Do not make these things stack again. What we covered in this lab today, it's a lot, I know, but all of these information will be covered in details later regarding how relationships work and why it's foreign keys, and how and what's the purpose of using foreign keys, how relationships actually are working. But now, today, I give you already a thorough description about what's going on. Okay, inshallah, by the next weeks, we will know more about such relationships, foreign keys, primary keys, and etc. Today, the most important thing is to know how to create models, how to connect, or how to run a local server, how to push your database to the local server, how to add new rows or new elements, how to put defining the database, how to put the primary key, not null, auto increment, and etc. Regarding relations, just try to implement them. It's okay to go and understand them. That will help you in the future. I already explained much details in this lab. See you inshallah next lab, and all the best. Everything here which will be uploaded, try it and test it yourself. It's better to test it yourself than watching it. You will learn a lot from that. All the best, and see you soon inshallah.